what do we have here? History of the Sentinels, Part 1. In the days before man first spoke, an immense shard of rock and metal was cast onto the world from the heavens. Thunder and cataclysm shook the land as the skies were torn asunder. The cosmic spear cleft a hole through our mortal lands, pole to pole, from the cold wastes of the umbral plains to the fetid swamps of Ironfang. The womb of the world opened, and the elemental wraiths, the firstborn, spilled forth. They took to the skies, fierce in their emancipation. In their exultation, they brought vitality to the land, and all that felt their breath were awakened from eternal slumber. Fierce beast and an unforgiving biosphere rose in the passing of their shadow as the wraith call echoed across Argent Deneur. First came the Ancestrals, feral creatures invigorated by the magic of the wraiths. They grew to enormous heights, mighty behemoths who waged war with each other for years untold. Their battles tore the land asunder and destroyed all creation caught in their wake. The wraith call continued to spread across the land, and soon the Argenta emerged from the steppes. Our souls stirred into form by the power of their breath. The Titans towered over the wild, bloody tribes, but found them uncowed. The secret of the sword was discovered, and in the darkness of sweltering mountain forges we beat steel until it was strong enough to pierce bone and sever flesh. Thus we came to be, born of rock and fire, lowly in birth, but risen by the strength of our will. By the blessedness of the first ones, we forged sword and shield and took the hammer to the Ancestrals. We claimed dominion of the creation by right of blood and magic, and the time of man came to be. With the ancestral beasts driven back to their bleak valleys, we rose. We tilled the fertile land, husbanded beasts of burden, and built towering cities. In the hallowed palace, on the obsidian throne, we crowned King Ormero, the Father, the first of the line that shall reign in perpetuity. We built the Cathedral of Reflection to worship the first ones, and formed the Order of the Diag, whose priests pay tribute to the wraiths and appease their tempestuous hunger. Our sons and daughters chose the path of the sword, or the path of the alchemist, for each duty honors the gods. Though our ways were righteous, we were not without strife. Storms and great quakes cast our spires down. Barbaric tribes laid siege to our lands in search of the great gifts Mother Argenta had bestowed upon our world, and the song of the Wraith Call threatened to drive lesser men into madness. We were not lesser men. We defended that which the first ones gifted to us, our lands and right to the bounty held within. We beat back the barbarian hordes and hardened our resolve. We rose above the fire, our bodies and souls tempered, and an unbreakable will was shaped in the forge of battle. What emerged was the heart of our legion, the Knight, or the Order of the Night Sentinels. Okay, so obviously the Night Sentinels, and I guess these people would be referred to as the Argents or Argenta. What it seems like is maybe whatever these wraiths are, I'm assuming it's just like something related to hell, slammed into this world. And so they kind of had a world that was sort of mixed with hell energy, and then that allowed them to kind of progress themselves in a way. So let's see how else this goes. So obviously then you have the makers here. In the time of grief, when King Etrix took the throne, a blessing came to the people of Argenta. White porcelain beings from a world above our own brought gifts to Deneur. Observers to our great deeds, admirers of our convictions, they sought to make bond with our swords and bring lasting order to our world. These were beings unlike any we had seen before. Sword and shield held no weight against them, for the ethereal flesh of these luminous beings seemed unbound by mortality. Able to move through time and space, they held sway over all dominions of the known and unknown dimensions. Through their ways we grew stronger, our society bolstered by their infinite wisdom and all-knowing power, assuring our people's safety for all time, in this world and the next. Where we sharpened the blade and mastered our magic, they bolstered the soul and spirit. Death would no longer be the end for our people. The ones we call the Makers, our new allies in this brutal world, have given us the security in death we fought so hard to achieve in life. We would find eternal peace, and our minds would rest easy with the knowledge that those we fought alongside in battle would join us in the lands beyond the mortal plane. The strength of our ways, the purity of our essence, would by Maker law grant us passage to the great city in the clouds. There our women and children, warriors and kin alike, would welcome us. We adopted the holy doctrines of the Makers, gifted in exchange with the chance to earn eternal rest for our immortal souls in blessed Urdak. The covenant we held now under the embrace of our new gods fostered a peace we had never known, for they were unlike the first ones, whose presence offered no paradise from fear and the uncertainty of existence in a harsh and unforgiving world. The Maker's embrace was warm and guided us into an era of spiritual prosperity. So, the Makers, obviously a different species, like aliens, basically came to their world, probably started to try to do what they ended up doing to humanity, where they came in, they bolstered us up, and then they used us and our technology to bolster themselves up, and then sacrificed us to hell. Maybe. With machine and enchantment of the Makers, the Argenta brought our newfound clarity to the disparate world or realms of the Empyrean Void. We took flight with the support of our gods, spreading the enlightened word of the Khan Maker. We discovered there was not one enemy, but many. Worlds and people unknown to the Argenta were unveiled, and we saw our own suffering reflected in their eyes. Our righteous army strode into battle under the banner of the Night Sentinels, and fought for the freedom of all peoples from the grasp of those who would exploit and prey upon them. Though we battled on soil not our own, the blood we shed in foreign land safeguarded Argent Denur, and the sons and daughters that defended it. Through the strange peoples we liberated, new alliances were formed, and our beliefs became their own. Our armies swelled. As the Argenta traversed the stars with gleaming war fleets, the Khan of the Makers approached King Rohan on his throne. He sensed his god restless by her disquiet manner. The king and Khan spoke, and the god revealed she had foreseen a schism in the blood of the Argenta. A test would be required to identify its host among us. She spoke of a holy rite to be performed on the strongest of our warriors. Only those that proved worthy would be tested, for the impurity could reside in only the most resilient of our legion. The divinity machine, a great tribute by Maker Scalaris, would help us to cleanse any impurities from our flock, ensuring our continued prosperity in this world and the Maker realm that awaited in the afterlife. The malicious one, if not exhumed from our ranks, would jeopardize our safe passage to the heavenly realm of Urdak. The Dark One was not amongst them yet, nor would he be for many generations. Only the Mother God, through divination and Maker sight, would determine when he stood before them. The Makers were truth, and only their unclouded eyes could find the one who was marked. The prophecy of the Unholy One was written, but through the ages the warning grew faint until only the Khan Maker herself and the High Priest of the Order Diag still whispered of he that would one day come to threaten their way of light. So, they're talking about me. I'm the Unholy One. I'm the one with the mark to try and destroy them all. One of those ironic things where, in trying to prevent us, she created us. Look at this. There you go. In the time of King Novik, as the Argenta secured peace and safety through dimensions across time and space, an outlander came to us. He was not of our world, and spoke an ugly tongue. How he first took step upon our land was unknown. Sentinel scouts had found the outlander bloodied, clawed, and near death, mumbling of impending doom and the forces of darkness. The scent of blood followed him, and the gore that stained his armor seemed not entirely his own. By Argenta law, the stranger would be judged in the Colosseum, where he would be given the chance of all who stray from the path to fight for his freedom. We knew not of this stranger. His mind seemed crippled with rage. He dressed in attire not suited for our lands and carried munition of arcane origin. We watched as his will overcame his injuries, and in the blood arena he proved his worth. The Outlander's technique was crude and brutal, but the determination in his charge echoed that of any true-born sentinel. His war cry echoed through the Colosseum as did the sound of his fury, and the gods cheered his banner. Rip and tear, they shouted as the beast pushed beyond mortal wounds and certain death. He would be gifted no rank, no title. The survivors in the arena were provided only one reward, the right to earn an honorable death while spreading the blessings of the Makers to those in need. The Outlander's determination was witnessed, his ravings documented, and through the word of the Order Diag, the Khan Maker had him brought before her. She set her minions to learning his tongue. For with his ugly words he spoke of lands unseen, creatures born of fire, and a dark place unknown to the queen and her caste. Yet another opportunity to expand the gift of the makers to those in need. Ah, okay. So maybe this wasn't hell energy? Exactly? I still don't know what the wraiths are. They were mentioned in the last game, and I don't remember much of that. But she learned about hell through us, I guess. On the eve of the Black Star, the Dark Ones came from a world beneath our own. Not through ship, nor ephemeral vessel, but through the fabric of dimensions. Out of swirling, fiery gates came horned beasts from a timeless realm. First one, then many, crashing waves of evil swelled from the obsidian force of the Argentian overlands. The Olorum clans from the eastern mountains fell first to the black hordes of devils, and the city of Talorum was slung under the weight of their charge. We Sentinels rose to meet the beast with spear in hand, the might of the Holy Fleet striking back at the demons. But the dark gates from whence they came gave birth still to even greater hordes. A line of blood was drawn with the fallen of both sides, and the unholy wars began as the time of darkness came upon us. So, hell eventually came in and started fucking up their world too. I actually wonder if if the Argenta are human related at all. Like, do humans just have places across everywhere? They look very just human-like. So I'm wondering how that goes. And here's some autopsies on demons. Unlike enemies of the past, we could not contain the demons emergent from the Dark Realm. Their weaponry was not conjured from machine steel, but from the essence of their very being. A dark magic not known to us in our many conquests. Had we grown overconfident, our victory serving to dull our blade as we drank in the glory of our expanding empire? Lost, we knew not of how to prevail against this foe. The Maker God stood perplexed, and our engineers and priests scrambled to find the advantage in battle we so desperately needed. Unknown to the enemy, we were pushed to the brink of defeat, and our God stood with us as we worked to find the answer. The Order of the Diag were the first to unlock the mystery of these foul creatures. The priests were able to capture several of the beasts and set about the identity, the source of their power. It was then that the essence of the Dark Realm was discovered. Not wholly unlike our own, this power was the life essence that flowed through their twisted form and powered their attacks. It could be harnessed to power our own weapons, giving the Argenta the chance to combat the demons on even footing. The priests believed that with greater knowledge of the essence, we could discover its source and cut it off from the demons to strangle their armies from within, allowing us to regain the advantage we've required for victory on the battlefield. The Khan Maker gave blessings to our majesty and directed the priests to delve deeper into the mysteries of the scarlet elixir from the demonic realm, for she sought only to return balance to our universe. Proper assimilation was required, as hell stood beyond her influence. After great effort, the priests discovered more than they had ever hoped for. They learned of the true nature of the demonic energy and how it could strengthen those skilled enough to harness its power. The energy coursing through the malformed bodies of our relentless enemy could be used to end life or to enhance it. The power to heal, to mend, immortality, knowledge, and enlightened faculties beyond our understanding. With the demon's life force in the skilled hands of the Sentinel priests and under the righteous gaze of the Khan Maker, our people would not only rise to victory over the unholy horde that clawed at our walls, we would move to a higher plateau of existence, ushering in a new era of military science and industrial healing. No Sentinel would grow sick. No Maker would need to suffer the transfiguration they so feared. All would be risen. None could ever oppose our peaceful ways and threaten our world again. True balance over hell and its legions, over space and time, in this world and all others. We would dictate the order. United with the Makers, we would find peace eternal. Oh boy. And then we have us battling it out, continuing to grow our ranks. The Khan Maker demanded a tithe of the essence, and driven by her desire, the priests submitted themselves to her will. The Order of the Diag took counsel with the king, speaking only of the spoiled lands, sure to be found through the cleft in creation, and the opportunity to purge the new invaders from Argent Denur. We took the war to their cursed land, pressing through the gates of wizardry. There was one among us who seemed to know the true nature of these foul demons. It was the outlander, the stranger who had come to us from places unknown, he who had survived in the front lines far longer than any Sentinel-born prisoner had before. His passion for battle against the vile horde was evident, his lust for their destruction matching our own. Though Argent Denur remained a foreign land to him, his fervor caught the attention of inquisitors of the Sentinel Guard, some whispering of a suspected allegiance he held in secret with the demons. Silencing the critics, King Novik deemed him worthy of selection. The signifiers brought a commission to our king, and it was decided that he be lifted from the common rabble. Though no arena-born prisoner had ever been granted the honor, the Knight Sentinels broke tradition and deemed the outlander worthy of training. A number of disciples grumbled and chafed at the barbarian present in their ranks, but in the war with the demons, all opportunities for even the slightest advantage was to be considered. And as they witnessed the stranger spar with their hall masters, they found in him an undying, unrelenting compatriot. This man was an outsider, friend to none, and yet rose each time he was thrown to the dirt of the circle. Battered and bruised, his brow stained with blood, he rose with grim determination for the chance to face his enemies in armed combat once again. Time passed as the stranger was instructed in the codified matrices of the order, the ancient lessons of battle and brotherhood taught to all sentinels. He could sense the opportunity before him. Soon all of hell would feel his wrath once again. Satisfied that he would not be a detriment to their prowess, the Knight Sentinels granted him his wish as they ventured through the hell gates with the stranger in tow. They knew no rest, fighting in the unnatural elements and training under the blood moon of night. The stranger suffered exhaustion, wounds, and sickness, but asked for no aid and was offered none. 3 times the Knight Sentinels ventured into the gate and back, and upon every return the stranger strode more capable than before, his gait locked in step with the march of the Sentinels, a disciplined and now controlled lust for demon blood ever present. The passing of years and innumerous battles with the devils indentured the stranger to Argenta's mightiest warriors, and no longer did they condescend to him as a new-blooded conscript, for to them he had become a brother in arms forged in war, an ally, and a weapon. All right, okay. So the Knight Sentinels themselves were like, wow, this guy's pretty awesome. He's pretty great at killing the demons. Meanwhile, the Makers are like, yo, we could use demon energy. Maybe we should do that. All right, well, we got to press forward and find the other ones. Okay. Let's get a few more codexes. Hello, here we go. Let's get as many as we can before we arrive at the boss arena, and then I'll read some more. This is where the exploration suit upgrade would be real useful, but we don't have that. I'm just trying to make sure we're not missing any codexes along the way. At least, like, I'm assuming... Actually, this might not be Argentineur. This is just Sentinel Prime, which could be on Argentineur. Now I'm lost. Now I'm sitting here like, okay, so hold up. Let me put all this history together. Where the hell am I?
I cannot stand by and watch as you put our future at risk.
You totally can.
Earth will be consumed, and the energy will continue to flow. It is your people's survival against mine.
Shame. Guess your people have to die. Okay. We're gonna go back to the Sentinel stories. Alright, part 8. This shows the Sentinels fighting against demonic hordes. And then you have the Makers being angelic above. Oh, we float, haha. Okay. As we warred with the beast, the Argenta Society grew, under the watchful eye of the Makers and through the endless power of the Essence. While our generals were consumed with the unholy war, our culture was marked by the beautiful potion the enemy had provided us, the sweet elixir. It brought us immeasurable capacity and empowered us to reach farther into dimensions once thought to be beyond our grasp. Under the direction of our Maker gods and the engineering of our high priests, our weapons blazed and our war machines stormed. The throngs of the populace drank deeply from the well of energy unveiled by the priests, but we of the Night Sentinels took no part in their abundance. Some among us whispered accusations and warnings against this manner of progress, but they were quelled, as it was not our role to dictate the future of our people, only to defend it. So this is kind of bad. This is where, so the Makers are using demonic Argent energy and also using that energy on the people, which means those people could end up being corrupted. Oh boy. And this looks like the Doomslayer is being praised by everybody else. As the Black Star ascended to its zenith, King Novik sat restless on his throne as a howling darkness began to assemble just beyond the mountain rise to the east. The Blight came upon us in droves, flooding forth from the Hellgate with merciless fury. They brought with them a monstrous titan, the Dreadnought, a beast to rival the stature and menace of even the mightiest ancestral. The grotesque giant laid waste to all before him, crushing all in his path. This was a total demonic assault, striking at the heart of Argent Denur as never before. How was it that the behemoth could pass through the demonic gate without warning? We would never know, though the Night Sentinels believed treason was at play. Caught off guard, the Sentinels scrambled late in defiance of the Titan and his horde, and with his coming, the holy city of Terrace Nabad prepared for judgment. With the onslaught of the demons massed in the sprawling shadow of the aberrant fiend, the city shook to its foundation. None were spared, save those that fled north. The vile swarm ransacked our temples and palaces, burning our towers and feasting on the souls of our clergy. Yet the Night Sentinels rallied and held fast against the demons, though they were pushed back and corralled at the blood arena. As the dark of night descended, their swords remained potent, and shred the enemy's multitude with abandon. Amidst the unyielding ranks of the Sentinels, when all other apprentices had fallen in battle, stood the Outlander. Rip and tear, he roared, ferocious in battle. The remaining conscripts of the arena stood in awe as they witnessed the beast who had once raged within their very cells, now armored alongside the shoulders of his Sentinel brethren. He had risen where none had other before. A true-born Sentinel fighter, the very best among them. But though the swarm fell before their assault, the Titan remained invincible, for none could tame the behemoth alone. In the hours before dawn, as the Night Sentinels weathered the relentless assault, the Outlander held his ground at the foot of the great wall in the northern bend of the castle. Seeing his unending vigor, Samur, Chancellor to the Mother God, hurried the Outlander away under veil of secrecy, and for reason unknown, submitted him to a rite untold. This was heresy, for Samur received no consent from the Khan Maker, nor did he receive her counsel. In the Chapel of Purity, the Outlander submitted himself to the Divinity Machine. There, Samur Maker, the Sephirim, known to us only as the aid to the Mother God, blessed the Outlander with fierce speed and power to match his will. It was the method by which this transfusion took place that was most uncertain to us, for we were of the knowledge that the Maker device bestowed onto the Argenta so many generations ago was to be used by the priests only to find the impurity among us. How could it be that the device that was meant to cull the Sentinel breed of its contaminants could then be used to purify the Outlander's body, and give rise to one who would lead us into battle henceforth? What rose from the holy coffin on that fateful day was not the impure abomination the Covenant warned us of. The hero within would come to be known only as the Great Slayer. The Time Walker, the warrior Khan whose fire sword would blaze forth a path for the just and cut through the demonic horde with a vengeance that only a god king could summon. He rose unbroken by the ritual, his eyes burning with Maker magic. He took the crucible in his hands, and wraith fire leapt forth from the blade, as only it would when held by a true Sentinel warrior king. In our darkest hour, the Slayer had been chosen. Defying tradition, our most sacred laws, and the will of the great Khan herself, a stranger to our lands had been blessed with a celestial might. So, you know, we got powered up by Maker Magic. We got powered up by Maker Magic, and the Night Sentinels themselves are like, well, hold up now. Could we all get powered up like that? I wonder if they ended up trying to rebel about that. Let's read the Diag story as well. There's plenty of intel things that we didn't read, but the Sentinel one's the ones I'm most interested in. Diag Grav remains the most powerful of the Hell Priests amongst the people of Argent Denur, frequently visiting his ancient homeworld to lord over the populace. Arrogant and pompous, Grav calls for blood sport in the arena to entertain the fallen citizens of Sentinel Prime. Since the demonic invasion of Earth began, he has operated on the planet's surface along with his fellow Hell Priests to direct Hell's forces. But after the deaths of Diag Nilox and Diag Ranok, he has fled to the safety of the arena. It was Diag Grav who facilitated the torment and eventual betrayal of the Sentinel commander Valen, taking the keys to the sepulchre of elements and opening the vault of the sleeping wraiths. The ancient creatures were abducted, transported to Hell, and tortured to siphon away their power. He used the heart of Valen's son to animate the icon of sin, a titan still spoken of in legend through Argent D'Nur. Oh, and you can see his... Oh, okay. We have more like, hey, here's how you looked beforehand. And here's how he looked afterwards. Same thing with Ranak. I wonder what this section is. Found in Urdak. What about the rest of the Sentinel history? Will that tell us? Found in Terras Nabad. Found in Terras Nabad. We got a lot there.